Nintendo. Duck Hunt, Daku Hanto in Japanese, is a light gun shooter video game developed and published by Nintendo for the Nintendo Entertainment System video game console, first released in Japan on April 21st, 1984. It was later released on October 18th, 1985 in North America as a launch game for the NES, and on August 15th, 1987 in Europe. The game was released as a virtual console title for the Wii U in 2014. In Duck Hunt, players use the NES Zapper to shoot ducks that appear on the television screen. The ducks appear one or two at a time, and the player is given 3 shots to shoot them down. The player receives points upon shooting each duck. If the player shoots the required number of ducks in a single round, the player will advance to the next round. Otherwise, the player will receive a game over. The game initially received few reviews, but was given mild critical praise and elicited a positive gamer reaction. Prior to the NES version, Nintendo also made a Duck Hunt game based on Laser Clay Shooting System, released in 1976. It was later a pack-in game paired with Super Mario Bros., which is what I had. It came with the Nintendo. The pack later also included world-class track meet. On Wikipedia, All Game called the game an attractive but repetitive target shooter and utterly mindless. The game is fun for a short time, but gets old after a few rounds of play. So yes, I have to agree. It's not that fun of a game, as in it gets boring quickly, or it's a very fun game that gets boring quickly, one or the other. There isn't much to it. Back when this came out, TVs were quite small. If this was on a modern TV that was nice and big, it might be more fun. But modern TVs don't work with the light gun zapper, so they would have had to have come up with something else. Overall, the light gun was mostly a gimmick, and so were the light gun games, or the zapper games. I don't know of any good ones. There might be one or two for the Nintendo and Sega, I don't know. Anyway, that's a short review on Duck Hunt. I don't think many people love the game, but I don't think many people really hate the game, so it's just rated as fair, kind of right in the middle. Nintendo. Excite Bike, or in Japan, Excito Baiko, is a motocross racing video game franchise made by Nintendo. It debuted as a game for the Famicom in Japan in '84 and is a launch title for the NES in 1985. It is the first game of the Excite series, succeeded by its direct sequel, Excite Bike 64, its spiritual successors, Excite Truck and Excite Bots, Trick Racing, and WiiWare title Excite Bike World Rally. 3D Classics, Excite Bike, a 3D remake of the original game, was a free for limited time to promote the launch of the Nintendo eShop in 2011. Excite Bike has 3 modes of gameplay. In Selection A, the player races solo, which is fun to race against yourself and kind of try to beat your own time. In Selection B, CPU players join the player. They act as another obstacle. Hitting one from the back will cause the player to fall off the bike, while any CPU riders hitting the player's rear wheel will cause them to fall off. In Design mode, the player has the ability to build his or her own racing tracks. The player can choose hills and obstacles of various sizes and place them, represented by the letters A to S. The player can also choose where to finish the lap, and how many laps there are, up to 9. After it is finished, the player can race the track in either Selection A or B. The Japanese version of the game allowed saving the player-created tracks to cassette tape, requiring the Famicom data recorder, or some prefer data. I like data, as in Lieutenant Commander Data. Allgame gave Excite Bike their highest possible rating of 5 stars. The review referred to the game as a staple of any NES collection, praising its graphics as cute, its control as simple, that still requires strategy to apply properly. The review noted the design mode as the first of its kind in a console game, and greatly extends the life of its title by featuring 19 different components you can piece together to build your own course. IGN praised the NES version in 2007, stating, "One of the original NES games, Excite Bike, was one hell of a ride 23 years ago, and it still is today." IGN also praised the game as ridiculously addictive, and that it proves video games don't need to have flashy graphics or complex AI to actually be fun. Kotaku editor Jason Schreier was less enthusiastic about Excite Bike when comparing it to other games available on the NES Classic Edition. He ranked it as the worst game on the console, calling it truly awful game. I'm kind of in between. It's a fun game. Creating your own track was fun, but you couldn't save it, so no big deal, but whatever. Is it a great game? No. I'm going to give it a review of good, because it is a good game. Excite Bike's biggest flaw, in my opinion, is that it's only a one-player game. If it was a two-player game, that might push it up a little higher and make it a great game, but as a one-person game, and you can't save your tracks, it's just a good game. And it should be a staple of any serious NES collector. Not because it's great, but because it's good, and because it was one of the first games that was good. Nintendo. Golf is a sports simulation video game developed and released by Nintendo in 1984 for the NES. The player, one character, wears a white shirt and shoes with blue pants and uses a white ball, while the player 2 character wears a red shirt and shoes with black pants and uses a red ball. I didn't even notice that, but I only played as one player, so... World record. The world record is held by Brian Yerkin with a score of -100. So there is something for all you gamers to aim for. -100 in NES Golf. If you can't beat it, at least try to tie it. Gameplay. The user must decide whether to play single-stroke play or the two-player selection of double-stroke play or match play. The user is then placed at the tee of the first hole of 18. It was the first golf game to feature a power accuracy bar for swinging the club. The power bar method has been used in most golf games since. According to Wikipedia, Golf received mixed to positive reviews and is now considered to be one of the most famous games for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Really? I did not know it was famous. Does that make it valuable? I don't know. I only played a little bit of this game. I might have played it when it first came out or back in the day, but I only played a little bit of it. I kind of understood. I wasn't really taking it too seriously. I wasn't choosing my club properly. I didn't quite understand the power bar method. Like, if I did one thing, it seemed that I could get it to hook, or is it slice? I don't even know. Hook or slice. I was getting it to go one way. With a little bit of practice, I'm sure this game controls very well, and you will learn how it controls and what you have to do. And if I was a golf fan, or if I was more into this game, I would probably give it a better score, but I'm only going to give it a score of fair.